Hello, hello. Hello. Whew. Okie dokies. I hear you. I hope not. I'm sorry you're tired. I am definitely not tired, but I will be. This cold, the cold outside seems to be finding its way into my room. And I don't like it. Even with the heat vents in my room, it is still freezing. Oh, true. No, I think you're valid. I think your point is very valid. Yeah, these winds are not my friend. I don't do winter. Oh my gosh. So today's live is going to be about more than just spiders. But I thought it was a good place to start. Oh, I get it, Ross Lynch. I get it. Um, it's no longer Twitter, it's now X, and yes, it is still a thing. Um, so spiders in a home is nothing new. Luckily, most of the spiders that we deal with are not going to be this big. Um, the one that was in the original thumbnail was twice the size of this, hanging on that curtain. Um, but what should you do and what should you not do if you do get a spider in your house? Chances are, at some point, probably even right now, sitting somewhere hoping for an insect to come along, there's a spider in your house. So, what should you do? Well, in most cases, ignore it. Simply ignore it. Now, if it's in your bed or it's in your shoe or something like that, um you can let them go. You can let them be. There are cases where you might want to get it out of the house. Those cases are going to be when you have an animal that falls under the category of venomous. That's when an animal doesn't belong in your house. Now, when I say venomous, again, I want to stress that all spiders one degree or another are venomous. The deciding factor is that venom going to put you in the hospital? For the most part, the answer is no. In the United States, to the best of my knowledge, we have 2 that might put you in the hospital. The brown recluse, which is much more likely to be shown, which is much more likely to not be in your house, and one that potentially could be. Those animals are the brown recluse or any one of its relatives, and the black widow. Now, I do want to stress that many times when you go into the doctor with something that you think is a brown recluse bite, chances are it is not. Chances are much better that you have some kind of skin infection. That being said, I will no longer tell you that if you live outside of the range of a brown recluse that you don't have a brown recluse. I've seen it with my own eyes that sometimes the field guides are wrong. But at the same time, identifying can be a bit tricky. So just because you see a brown spider doesn't make it a brown recluse. Also, unless you live in places where you have tarantulas, you're probably not going to have them in your home. Second thing I want to say, there are spiders, large spiders, that live in Australia. Even if you have a huntsman spider in your home, it is not the end of the world, because believe it or not, they are the good guys. They will keep your house free of other spiders that might be more venomous. They will also eat other household pests. You don't have to kill them. Now, I do want to move on and talk a little bit about maybe how you can keep spiders out of your home. One thing you can do is, if you have a wood pile, ooh, I'm sorry to hear about the dreams. I was having dreams too, really weird ones. Things you can do to keep spiders out of your house. Don't have a lot of shrubbery or plants right up against your house, because if you open up your windows all the way open, they can come in. They may come in on you and you not even know it. If you have household plants that you put outside during the day, or you have plants that you keep outside during the summer and then bring in for the winter, those can bring in spiders. If you have firewood right up against your house, that's going to do more than just bring in spiders. But those are a few things that potentially could bring spiders into your home. Now, I do know people who have woken up. Now, granted, they live in other places outside of where I live, but scorpions can be an issue. Again, things you can do, figure out how they're getting in and close that up. A spider can fit through a hole as long as these two things can fit in it or under it. These are the pedipalps, and if they can fit through, it can fit through. Scorpion's a little bit different story. There are not, and I know scorpion stings are painful, but in the United States, we are a little bit blessed, because I want to say we don't have that many medically we have one that is medically significant scorpion in the United States, and it is the Arizona bark scorpion. Now, all scorpions can sting, and they are all venomous. The Arizona bark scorpion is found in California, Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, Utah, Colorado, and Texas. Now, there may be other scorpions you might be allergic, whatever the case may be. If you do get stung, get help. Especially if it's this one. Don't wait for it to get bad. But again, things you can do to limit your issues. If you don't leave your shoes outside. Bring your shoes inside to take them off. I don't know how completely true it is. But just for example, this is a fake scorpion. You can see how heavy those pinchers are. Those pinchers are designed to kill. And they're going to go after anything that is potential prey. And if they do pinch you, you could end up bleeding from it. On the other hand, if the scorpion has really thin pinchers. That's what we're looking at. We're not looking at the size of the scorpion itself. We're looking at the size of the pinchers. If the pinchers are really thin, chances are they're killing by their venom. And yes, some of the scorpions that have really thin pinchers do tend to be a little bit more toxic. Yes, a lot of times, and they're not biting. They're not biting, they're pinching. So a scorpion very often will grab or pinch and then sting. At least they do with insects. Now this happens to be a fat-tailed scorpion. And yeah, you would not want to get stung by this. Now, depending upon where you live, you could have more issues with scorpions than we do. So again, I'm stressing to you how important it is to know what lives around you. If you don't know the animals that live around you, you're taking a chance. Because at least if you know what's there, it's not a mystery. It's not the boogeyman. So know what's around you. And it's easy enough to find out. Also, again, I do want to stress that just because I said okay, so if you're getting stung repeatedly, chances are it's really good that you're getting a different amount each sting. Now, I do want to talk about something that I don't want you to get confident. I don't want you to think that just because Nature Guy says this, that this happens every single time that this is going to happen. Spiders and scorpions and snakes, they can all do what's called a dry bite or a dry sting. They can decide if you get venom or if you don't get venom. That being said, there's nothing more dangerous to a human than the venomous snake, the venomous spider, or the venomous scorpion that has just stung you. I'm going to say the 90s or the 2000s Scorpion King. Just saying, maybe. These guys can control the amount of venom going in. So can snakes, so can spiders. But if they're coming to you as a giant, they're going to protect themselves. And in most cases, that's why people get stung. You put your foot into a shoe, that puts pressure on the scorpion. It stings to protect itself. They're not monsters. They're defending themselves. And we went from spiders to scorpions because even though the title says spiders, I'm covering more than just spiders and scorpions, because otherwise we would have a really, really short live, and I'm just not into that. Second thing I want to talk, third thing I want to talk about are my friends, the snakes. Now, up here, we are lucky because pretty much any snake that we have is now in hibernation or brumation, whatever you want to call it. They're asleep. In Florida, unless it gets really cold, I'm guessing the snakes are active year-round. Another place, that may be true in other places too. No. Sorry, Ross, I didn't. I had to sing. But snakes are a different story, depending upon what they feed on. A snake like this is pretty much guaranteed to go after rodents. So if you have rodents around your yard, rather it's a wood pile that they can get access to, or if you have sheet metal in the back or boards in the back where they can go hide. You may not have cobras, but you might have rattlesnakes. You might have copperheads. So, know, again, what's in your area. If you do have a venomous snake in your yard, don't handle it. There are people who will be more than happy to come out and take it. Because the last thing you want to do is pick up a snake wrong and get bit. Because as a guy that I used to watch always says, the most dangerous snake in the world is the one that decided to give you a nip. So be mindful of that. If there are places where snakes like to hide, and you know that they like to hide there, that's where you need to look. Because snakes during the day, they like to sun themselves. If it gets too hot, they might retreat. But most definitely, snakes can do dry bites. They're not necessarily out there trying to hurt you. They want to be left alone. Most snakes, even the cobras, will give you a warning. They want to reserve that venom for prey species. Rattlesnakes, for the most part, are going to rattle. In some areas, though, rattling has decreased. Other snakes will mimic that. They will shake their tails in leaf litter. Got to be listening for it. A coral snake, they don't really have that warning system. Their warning system is their colors. And that rhyme, that famous rhyme that we probably all know, can be tricky. It's not going to always be a safe bet. So if you are unsure whether you're looking at a milk snake or you're looking at a coral snake, don't pick it up. The good news is, or the bad news is, with coral snakes, we don't see a lot of them. They tend to be fossorial, meaning that they're underground, but they do sometimes come up. That's why if you're working in your gardens in Florida, or you're working in mulch, oh, I bit my tongue again. Or you're working in mulch, wear gloves. Be mindful of the fact that you share your land with the snake. So if you see a brightly colored snake, leave it alone. Also be mindful of the fact that if you are in South America or Central America, maybe even Mexico, the coral snake rhyme doesn't apply. So don't go to those countries thinking that rhyme is going to keep me safe, because it's not. And for the most part, I want to share this with you. I have never, in my 50-something years of life, I've never seen a venomous snake. There are venomous snakes in my area. Well, there's venomous snake in my area. And I also want to stress this, that just because a snake bites or rears up doesn't mean it's venomous. Just because a snake is in the water, likewise, doesn't mean it's a cottonmouth or a water moccasin. There are, I don't even know how many species right offhand. There's at least a dozen. At least a dozen. Now, we are not talking, when I say water snakes, I am not talking about cottonmouths. That's a totally different thing. Well, my problem is, D-Man, I have no way of showing it. But we can figure that out after live. So don't go out of your way. What I'm trying to say is, just because a snake might hood up doesn't mean it's a cobra. Because hognose snakes, I don't know if D-Man has ever encountered one, they sort of hood up a little bit. but they're not cobras. If you do live in an area where there's venomous snakes, don't do certain things. Don't put your hands where you can't see them. Don't pick up a snake. Don't mess with a dead snake. A lot of snakes, especially where it's hot, tend to be nocturnal. If you hear that rattle of a rattlesnake, stop, back up, look around, find that snake. Because guaranteed, that snake knows that you're there. They can feel the vibration in the ground from you walking. Chances are really good that if you continue walking up onto that snake, you're making that snake nervous, you're scaring it, you're gonna get bit. Don't. I've heard reports of people who keep these animals as pets. I've heard it at least once. A guy got dared to do something and he ended up getting bit because he did it. They're not toys. Although this one is a toy. Venomous animals are not toys. They have a breaking point. And each snake, each individual animal has their breaking point. We use a lot of I can't say the word. Ross Lynch fan 001. While that is true, that all goes out the window when we, if you get my meaning. I mean, yes, accidents happen. That's a very real thing. But venomous animals, they have that venom for a reason. Defense and feeding. The trick is we don't want to be the reason for an animal to have to be defensive. And some animals, just the fact that it's in their nature maybe to be an ambush predator. So an ambush predator, they're not going to move. Maybe. When they're looking for prey, they sit in a spot and they wait for prey to come to them. When I tell you that copperheads and canebrake rattlesnakes or timber rattlesnakes, and also to some degree the big eastern diamondback, can almost be invisible under the right conditions. So if you hear, even if it's faint, you're in the woods and you hear a rattle, stop and look around. Don't just go. And if you're out hiking or exploring and you see signs that say, hey, rattlesnakes in the area, be mindful of that. Don't assume that there's no rattlesnakes when the sign says there are. There are things you can do to limit the odds of you getting bit. And that's sort of what I wanted to talk about today, is I wanted to talk about venomous animals or animals that get into your house. Yes, it's going to happen. No, you don't have to kill them all. In fact, in many cases, you're better off just letting them do their thing. We live in a society where it seems like globally animals are a second thought. We don't want them around. We like them, but we don't want it in our backyard. And unfortunately, in many cases, they were there first. Yeah, if you're hiking, stay on the trail. I actually got in trouble for that in a national park. We were hiking in the national park in my area, and there is what's called a social trail. A social trail is where people have got off the trail so much that it actually erodes away the plant. It kills off the plants, and it looks like an actual trail, but it's not a trail. It's not part of the trail system. So be mindful of that. Stay on the trail. Yes, snakes can still be on that trail. And if they are, leave them alone. Either go back the other way or oh, lovely. Ooh, yeah. Um right now we're under conditions where you could potentially slide off a road. Um and it happens. You should always have blankets in your car. You should have flashlights. Yes. I agree, D-Man. But knowing another thing that sometimes gets people in trouble is people will have lawn furniture um out by their pool or on their deck. Those are places that give spiders places to make their webs. Don't just blindly stick your hands in places where you can't see what's underneath there. Because while something like a black widows are known not to be super aggressive, but if you mess with their web, they may bite in protection. Well, by eating the snow, she's taking in water. And the green tomatoes, as long as they're not like poisonous, they provide some nutrients. So I could see that. We have 15, around 15 or 20 minutes. Oh, wow. I didn't even open up the live on YouTube on the Chromebook. Live for tonight. is going to be if you want to start your own collection, or so you want to start your own collection. And I'm not talking about those things. I'm talking about like the type of collection that I have. These things. That is probably a really good idea, D-Man. Don't eat your own limbs. If you're going to be out for any reason, maybe bring some food with you. The problem is, D-Man, how many people know what to eat and what not to eat? I have been told that if they ever got lost in the woods, they'd want me with them. Yeah, there's still a 50-50 chance that you might be in trouble. Oh, he said you probably shouldn't eat your limb if you're starving and you're lost. Probably not a good idea. I agree with him on that one. Don't do that. It's a bad idea. There probably wouldn't be much left. And that's a pretty big what if. You guys are really beginning to scare me with your... Maybe we should change the subject. I feel like maybe there's grounds for getting me in trouble with this talk, maybe. Next Tuesday, we have two very cool topics. We're going to be discussing primates, pets, and then we're going to be talking about exotic as pets. And I'm stepping away from, eventually, it's not going to happen right away, but if you've noticed, a lot of my will this animal make a good pet videos, a lot of them are carnivores, but I'm stepping away from that, and you're gonna start seeing a little bit of that. We're gonna be doing one of the monkeys and a large wild bovine in the upcoming months. So I'm excited for those. I'm excited for something different. Again, I want to go over... Well, let me do next week's lives, and then I'll go over it. Or do you want the next 2 weeks? Do you want the next 2 weeks' lives, or just... I'll do the next 2 weeks. So next week, Tuesday, again, we're going to discuss basically primates and why they shouldn't be pets. Tonight we're going to talk about so you want to own your own collection, and we're going to be talking about stuff like this and how you can set up your own little collection. So that's tonight. Primates and they're not pets will be Tuesday, along with exotic animals as pets. December 5th, we're going to be doing, which is Friday, we're going to be doing mountain habitats and cloud forest. Hi, the Demon Wing 7882. How are you? Not much. Hopefully it's not snowing by you. Let's see. Saturday, it looks like we are doing an exhibit focus, Penguin and Puffin Coast, and then Arctic Panorama. And then I don't know what we're doing for that second live that day because I don't want to do the same thing over and over again. What is AI? RT56GE4. What is AI? Not right now because I'm doing something else, but if you wait 15 minutes, 10 minutes, then I might. So that Penguin and Puffin Coast and Arctic Panorama, that will be December 6th. I don't know what we're doing later that day. December 9th, we have a Learn to Care. I don't know why I need to pick a different Learn to Care item for that day. AI is acting like they aren't AI. No, I'm definitely not AI. I promise you. And that Learn to Care is going to be Javan Rhino and the red-crowned roofed turtle. December 12th is Sarcosuchus and Caprosuchus. December 12th is Titanus, the terror bird, giant stork. Leptotyllos robustus. December 13th, we are doing a subscriber-only planning session. The 16th, we're doing open chat. And then December 19th, we're going to have a snake day because we're doing snake venom and elapids. Wow. Other items you might, I was considering doing Zoom, in other words, cobras and their relatives. My mods are operating the way I want them to operate. Because little known fact, I don't joke around. I have no sense of humor. D-Man, you've given him enough warnings. Show him the door, either you or Carrie. Thank you. We have the opportunity to do a potentially Zoom calls. I'm probably not going to do them, so I will figure that one out. We have another Learn to Care coming up on the 23rd. That's going to be 2 birds. No, I just have an American accent. I'm actually an alien, like from Venus. In real life, I'm like a scorpion cockroach crossbreed. It's really freaky. I'm also half vampire. My family just doesn't know it. So don't tell them. They might freak out. Yes, because he is a cousin. Or maybe I'm just a vampire. I don't know. Because fun fact, sunlight doesn't really hurt us. That's really a myth. I don't know what we're doing for the second thing of live, and then the 26th we're gonna do Christmas trivia. I don't get rid of this goon. He's mine. CL-3TC 46GD4. Give me a flipping break. There's no excuse for that. None whatsoever. And even if I was, it's none of your business. It's not an innocent question, though. But for the record, no, I'm not. I was born a male, I will die a male. I don't think that's an appropriate question. Because it's nobody's business if I am or not. I'm not, but it's nobody's business if somebody is or isn't. Maybe they have. Maybe some people are okay with that, but I get it, D-Man. Personally, if I come into somebody's live, I'm not there because of what their sexual thing is, what their gender is. I'm there for the live. So because I'm short and have a high voice, that automatically makes me a transgender. Lovely. That's lovely of you to just assume, or even to give you the right to ask. And it's not that I'm offended that you asked. Yes, but instead of asking me, and I've said this before, because it's ridiculous. If you look, if you go in to my if you go in and you look at the description of my channel, it says, "Hi, my name is Nature Guy X46." That's what it says. Nature Guy. Not anything else. You might. If I was a midget or a shorter person than I am, let me give you a lesson in anatomy. Let me give you a oh you still might. All depends on how well you listen to what I'm about to say. Shorter people have higher voices. CL3TC46GD4. Close your zip and close your lips and listen. To what I'm about to say. No, stay and listen. Short people have higher voices because voice pitch is directly related to the size of the larynx and the length and thickness of the vocal cords. Just like guitar strings, short people generally have smaller vocal cords which vibrate at a faster frequency, thus producing a higher pitched sound, meaning that because my voice box is not as big as yours, maybe, the size of my larynx determines that I have a higher voice because I have thinner vocal cords which vibrate faster. So no, I'm not transgendered. I'm short. And if you had looked at my description, one, you would know I was a guy. Yeah, you would know I was a guy, and you wouldn't have had to ask. You were probably doom scrolling through lives and found mine without knowing anything about me. So, while other people might be okay with you asking that question, I'm not okay with it. I find it, I don't know, I find it distasteful. Not that I have anything against anybody, but really? I just, it'd be one thing if I got that question once every blue moon, but I don't. That's the part that I think I'm going. Again, though, if you saw somebody out and about, oh yeah, my mom gets phone calls all the time. People will call from my mom. People will call from my mom, and I'll pick up. And every once in a while, somebody will go, Marilyn? I'm like, no, this is Charlie. And they're like, oh, or I'll get, I'll answer my cell phone. And every once in a while, it'll be like not a prank call, but um, it'll be somebody calling either like maybe credit card or somebody calling like a spam call, and I'll pick up and they'll be like, is this so and so? And I'm like, um they'll go, are you his child? And I'm like, no. Are you his wife? No. This is Charles. How can I help you? And at that point, I'm like, I try to be I try to be nice about it. It's just sometimes it gets under the skin. But it takes like 5 minutes, 2 minutes to check. It's usually, you have to understand they have to ask because legally they can't talk to kids. Yeah, I get that, D-man. Yeah, and I try really hard not to say yes or no. Well, legally, if they're spam calling, legally they shouldn't be calling me. Because my number is on the do not call list. So chances are, if you're calling me, you're a scam caller. And I don't have time for that. So I usually don't answer. But anyway, we are changing the subject. I think I've had my rile for today. I don't know if I want to go on TikTok or not. You know, instead of giving the whole that discussion, I'm going to flip it and I'm going to do the scientific thing. And I'm just going to be like, here's why what you're asking me is wrong. Or maybe I'll just stop and I'll just do the pronouns and totally mess people up. That's a better idea. Because then I don't have to answer it. That's a better idea. Can I do that on here? I'm not putting a banner up. No way in heck. People want to know. People want to know something, they can look it up. It's not my job to explain every single little thing that happens. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So why should I even no. I'm done with it. It's Savannah Johnson F8G. It is blatant. In many cases, it's just people being rude. And if people aren't going to read what I post, why should I put it up? It is a total waste of time. I would never in 100 years walk up to somebody on the street and ask them that question. I would be horrified. I have wonderful moderators on TikTok. and they're learning. They don't have the experience that my moderators on YouTube have. I don't have a problem with people coming in. I don't have a problem with people coming in. I really don't. I welcome people coming in. But even when I was posting at Savannah, they weren't looking at it. So why post it? I'll go back to posting it. But I promise you, Savannah, it doesn't do any good. Because they don't look. And I've had people admit to not looking. Triple Christian, I don't know what that means, but I don't want to know either. It does get tiring. And it gets tiring having to explain it 10,000 times a day. I agree, but at the same time, I get it. I'm a content creator on YouTube, and I should expect a certain amount of that, and I do. But at the same time, I probably get, depending upon if I go on TikTok, I might get asked, if I'm on for 2 hours, I might get asked 4 or 5 times if I'm who I am, what I am. And I promise you, if I was 6'4" and muscular and had a deeper voice, nobody would ask. Nobody. I am not playing Fortnite. Absolutely no way. Because well, the other day, I don't bring people into my lives on TikTok. I haven't. And one day I decided, you know what? If somebody asks me, I'll bring them in. So I did. So they came in, and I could tell that you know, they were not exactly never mind, I'm not going to say it because I don't want to be offensive. And she was halfway through it. She had spent 5 minutes, maybe 4 minutes talking to me, and all of a sudden it turned south really quick, and I got rid of her. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. The fun we have. But anyway, I have really digressed. Oh, he got angry. That too bad. That too bad. I don't know. I really wasn't paying attention. And that's what I like about YouTube is I usually don't have to. But you can tell the mood I'm in though when I get like that, because I've been really carry me through. I've been really good lately. I have been really, really good about not being vocal. Or as vocal when people cheese me off. But today, not so much because I'm tired. I had 2 different dreams that woke me up. No. Yeah, I think it to a certain extent, D-Man. I've seen enough to know that people can hope. You know what? Come to think about it, I really want to say, for those of you that are so fascinated by who I am or what I am, yeah, we get backlash because, let's see. Well, but you can make money doing that. That's the thing, but people shouldn't have to. They haven't announced anything that I know of. What the heck? Yeah, and how well did that work for you, dude? Why am I speaking like a cartoon villain, bro? Who, me? Are you talking about me, Ross Lynch? Or the guy that came in? Oh, the troll. I get it. Okay. So tell me how this sounds. How about that? Can I say that? Can I say that? Probably not, huh? I'll be nice. I'll be nice. I'll be nice. Yeah, I'm not going to put that in. Hey guys, let's not on the liquor talk, please. How is that? Is that good? Or is that still offensive? Nope. But now I can say, hey, look, now you guys can say, look at the pinned comments. And if they say that they didn't look at the pinned comments, you can get rid of them because y'all don't have time. That's their warning right there. If they choose not to look at it when they come into my live, you know what? Okay. Well, I don't know how it displays. No. No. There's not. And I don't know, does YouTube give you the option in your profile of putting that in? Because, I mean, oh, wait. Yes, it does. So hold on a second. I gotta look at something. Okay, I'm gonna remove this. Um, hey, Ross Lynch. Oh, you know what? It does show. It's in my profile. So they have no reason. They have zero reason. Zero reason to be asking if I am or not. Carry me through. Ross Lynch, did you hear me? It is literally in my profile. So when they ask, you can give them a warning, tell them to go look at my profile. It says pretty plainly the Natureverse 4.7 at Natureverse 4.7 he 1.85 thousand subscribers and 2.4 thousand videos. So it is there. They just need to go look at it. I'm not addressing it anymore. They can just be told, they can be, either they can go out themselves and look at it or not. I think that's what I'm going to start doing. Anyway, guys, I need to go because, like D-Man, I have stuff to do. So I will talk to you later. Bye, guys.